Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on a great viewer question, and that is really, how do you understand the dynamic of the covert narcissist and how they play on and placate your feelings, particularly what in my mind right now in terms of this content is the need for escapism. The love bombing of a covert narcissist is subtle, but it is swift and it is sure. And it is continual over time, particularly with the subconscious and nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication meaning it is responsible for a large degree of communication and human interactions, in fact, more so than the verbal word. More so than really what is written is your non-verbal communication, your physical body, the physiology. And so when we talk really about physiology, we're talking about your energy and motion, which is how you feel, your emotions. In your emotions, really being your energy and motion is that which connects you between the gap of where you are and where you want to be. So it really is like the driving force. It really is like the engine. It really is like the fuel, like the gas, that fuels the engine of your body. And when we look at it this way and we understand dynamics that occur in a relationship with a covert narcissist, someone who promulgates and creates a feeling, an aura, an emotional environment or context where we are relegated to an inferior position, where they are the superior ones. They have a pathological sense of self-importance and also an insatiable need to control or have power over others. So it's really rooted out of an insecurity with which they promulgate or create and perpetuate into motion this uneven dynamic. And so when you look at a seesaw, it is always in motion. It's oftentimes not very static. So the covert narcissist is using this in what is known as leverage or power over others. And this ends up giving you no leverage or power over yourself in order to play the covert narcissist game. In order to engage in the dynamic, you have to subconsciously, unconsciously, or physiologically delegate yourself to the lower rung, to really, the lack of power situation in the seesaw. So if you remember playing seesaw as a kid, you were always wanting to play with someone who perhaps was a little bit heavier than you because they could control the fun. They could keep you on the up and down. And if you were the lightweight, you really didn't have power over the seesaw. In fact, do they even still have seesaws in playgrounds anymore? We really don't know. I don't know, but it's really more, if you look back at that dynamic, and I use it as an analogy for you to understand the importance of gravitas or weight in a relationship. And this information is coming at you from years and years of study and interest and a passion for this. So I hope you can follow along, even if you're a beginner with me or you're more advanced. I think you will find value in this. And also, before we get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to those of you who have recently donated to the channel. Thank you so much for your recent contributions. It is with much gratitude and heartfelt, really, appreciation for those of you who have actually stepped up to the plate and begun participating with the channel and actually donating and contributing. Thank you so much for your participation. Also, your comments, your support of each other through this journey, oftentimes very painful times. Even if you're no longer experiencing the pain, I think you can remember how painful and how difficult it was, and it shows you how long you've come in your journey here. So thank you so much for your donations. And absolutely, if you would love to participate and kind of become a little bit more involved and this has been a positive influence for you, please do feel free to donate at the PayPal Donate Now button here at the Peace and Harmony channel. We would love to hear from you. So we're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth in terms of really understanding the dynamic, the power over, and really sort of the fun that is sort of encouraged or promulgated or created in a relationship with this covert narcissist, basically and profoundly so, it is that they are placating or playing on one's need for escapism. And what I feel is your need for escape, or sort of the carefree lack of responsibility that really becomes embedded in the love bombing stage of any narcissistic or even psychopathic relationship, which is namely one's need to be able to depend on, rely, or have an interdependent relationship with others. It's no fun if you're doing all the work. It's also a lot of fun if you're doing none of the work. And especially particularly the work on oneself, or the understanding that one is an individual, autonomous human being. You have to be able to have that sort of alone time, and then embrace that and take joy and pleasure in that self-responsibility, self-governing, self-discipline. I took a lot of interest in this in college, the idea of self-governing, autonomy, industriousness, productivity, and responsibility. And understanding why a lot of people shriek away from it, are, intimidated by it, are not comfortable, and really want to swing to the opposite direction, namely the feeling of irresponsibility, reckless self-abandonment, and why people would want to lose this control, give themselves overs to wanton, reckless drinking, drugging, troubles with the law, all that sort of thing that really comes at you when you lose responsibility for self. Not valuing self-discipline, not valuing yourself, not valuing what I was always interested in was the word of temperament, tempering your emotions, tempering your passions. I studied this in a lot of different contexts. Gandhi, my experiments with truth, a lot of the other religious texts in translation, understanding what it was to be an exemplary citizen, how to, especially as a teacher, you become a mentor. You must become, exemplary in your self-discipline. You can't have, be in the paper one day and then go back to your school. It just ain't gonna jive as a teacher. You have to be able to be a model citizen, and tempering of your emotions, controlling over your emotions. And this takes the checking in, not checking out. This becomes in understanding the flow of your emotions, the passions, and how to temper it so it doesn't rage out of control or get beside yourself. And this oftentimes is one of the huge challenges, man versus himself, man versus man, man versus society, and all the other struggles that we see in movies, in books, in Hollywood screenwrites, etc. And it is my feeling and my viewpoint really is that the covert narcissist plays on your need for escapism. Not really you escape into yourself, but you escape away from yourself. You begin then to have hypervigilance, hyper-awareness, the fight or flight, which then gets you to become oversensitized to the needs of this other individual and desensitized to the needs of yourself. So you begin to sort of escape from your inner reality, your inner world, your inner feelings. They become unwanted. You then become deeply seated in the feeling of not wanting yourself. You want to become wanted by this other person, and that becomes all that matters. Becoming attractive, becoming desirable, becoming sought after, or at least held in the clutches of this other person. And the covert narcissist will do this through communicated through no uncertain terms that you are not okay without them. In other words, the trauma bond is set in. It's really sort of as a psychopath once stated, they will respectfully disrespect you. In other words, not letting you give rein to yourself as an individual, autonomous, and self-governing individual. That is okay alone, okay by themselves, okay reading, okay having your own group of friends, okay having your own interests, okay having your own wants and being able to follow up on them and not feel, in the dark, isolated, or shamed because of this. And it is oftentimes, like we were stating, is that it's not so much the violation of boundaries by crossing over them. It is the violating of your boundaries by, in the opposite direction, by the withdrawal. It is by the taking away. In the covert narcissist context, is that it is not what they give to you, it's what they don't give to you. So it requires a self-abandonment, an escapism from yourself, your own attendance of your own self-importance, to go and hunt them down and find out what it is that they need and what you can do to gain their approval. Social validation, peer pressure is a huge driving force. To be loved, to have a sense of belonging, to have a sense of connection is a natural, innate, instinctual human drive. You can't live in this world on an island. Who's going to deliver the food? Who's going to keep the lights on? Who's going to build the house? You can't do it all on your own. You need other people. You need other talents. You need communication. You need affection. You need once in a while for someone to make the food, to open the door, to give you a drive, to take you on a vacation. You don't want to, it's not very fun to just go it alone. I mean, it's not even possible. You need other people. That is, an unequivocal built-in need. And it is this need then which is siphoned off and then monopolized by the covert narcissist. Whereas I've said before, it's like they take the weight of 5, 10, 15, 20 relationships all in one person. They siphon you off from your need to go out and create your own friends, have your own interests, not live afraid. It is the living of fear. It is the fear, the fight or flight, which keeps you in a trauma bind. In other words, I am not okay. I am not okay on my own. I am not okay with what I'm doing. What I'm doing is not validated. It is not acknowledged. It is not heralded as triumphant. It is relegated to the unseen. And so all people have a need for acknowledgement and validation. To have a wave hello, to have eye contact, to feel safe in this manner, to feel like you're one of the human beings, you're one of the human race, you're one of the ones here, and that you're okay. We accept you. You belong here. You are okay. So that feeling is mandatory. Yes, you can be in a situation where you're maybe in a competitive situation. You're playing soccer and you have an opponent, or you have a tennis match and you're trying to, win the match, win the set, what have you. But we're talking about in relationships where you need to be told that you are okay, you're safe, and you don't have to compete for this with another. Yes, there's big families where you might not get enough if you don't get first to the table, you don't give yourself a big scoop, etc. We've all had different situations that we lived in, but particularly we're talking about the escapism where you're abandoning your own needs for another's, and sort of that relief or release that comes with that dynamic. And to understand that that is really what has caused and allows the perpetuation for you to accept a covert narcissist relationship for so long. Because eventually it becomes like coming back to reality, which is your own needs, your own voice, and having the skill and strength to do so, which becomes then so foreign or scary. And yet this is actually the key that's going to set you free. It's going to set you free into the real world where the air is fresh, the flowers are sweeter, the birds chirp happier, the wind feels more gentle, the sun shines on your face. Really, you only experience those in that profound, magical, mystical way when you embrace the fact that you are your own person, that you have your own values and deserve and desire to be validated as such. But that experience is then, you're swept away from that joy, from that responsibility. You shriek away because of the fundamental dependency in the enabling that is fostered in the covert narcissist relationship. So how do they perpetuate that escapism? Once again, it is by the withholding, the keeping away. It's almost as if, you're going to school and the teacher's like, you're going to have to pass this course, but you can't see the materials yet. For you to graduate the first grade, you're going to need to be able to pass this test, and here's the books. But they're not giving you the books. They're keeping it over in the box they have not distributed as of yet. As a kid, you're going to be like, well, we need to know what's in the box. Shh, shh, shh. Have you seen what's in the box? And then the teacher is just teaching course after course after course, yet you don't know what's in the box. And then pretty soon you're like, we're going to have to behave as a class to get to know what's in the box. Like the teacher might say, we're only going to get to that course until you all behave yourself, until you all sit with your feet on the floor, until you're all paying attention. Your pencils are sharpened. You've got all your, crayons put away. You've got your phones put away. You're paying attention. So the teacher has leverage and control over you as the class. And any teacher must have this control, of course, but to the degree where children are not able to move on is really, pretty severe. If the teacher is not allowing you to move on to the next grade and is withholding of a course, withholding really what you need. In other words, it would be like withholding your lunch. Eventually you become like a starving person and you begin to snap at the materials. You begin to snap, because you're starving for affection. You're starving for attention. You feel ashamed. Your appetite for love becomes overwhelming. It becomes perverted. You begin to then have all your other innate drives fumbled and scrumbled up, and then you're, scratching your way to find 45 cents just to get, a sandwich. You are starving emotionally. You begin to scrounge and scruff to do whatever it is to get the attention from this person, to the point of like begging within yourself. That's why you see the defense mechanisms that start getting into place when you are not experiencing this acceptance, this approval, and this embracing for your innate human needs. It becomes a point of shame. It becomes a point of contention. I'm so hungry that I'm embarrassed. I'm so hungry that I'm eating out of the garbage can. I'm so hungry that I'm drinking all this alcohol. I'm so hungry that I'm doing this drugs to try to get a handle on my appetites. My human, needs for love, affection, sexual appetites are running amok. They're all becoming confused and running into each other. And then this is why then people eat themselves and drink themselves into oblivion, because they have a perverted, drive within them, which is the need for love, affection, acceptance at that core level. So you then begin to escape into satisfying this person's needs in adulterating or distorting of your own. And so when these needs go unmet, it's like the old Bob Marley song, like I was thinking of, them bellies full, but them hungry. I think it's like the Rasta song. And of course, I don't have a Rastafarian accent, but I think the lyrics are, them bellies full, but them hungry. And a hungry mob is an angry mob. And that's just like a little bit snippet, and you can, probably find any Bob Marley song, and that's probably one of his, top hits. But it is to understand that you can be so full of other things, but you can still be hungry. In other words, you can have all the cars, you can have all the money, You can have all the food, you can be so full, but yet you're still eating because you're still hungry. It's like the obese person that can't fit another piece in their mouth, but they're still trying to shove in a whole box of donuts. Their appetite, their neurotransmitters are registering that they're still hungry, that they're not full yet they've just consumed, a food enough for 4 people, and yet they're still trying to line up the dessert. It's like, your neurotransmitters are misfiring. Your brain is receiving the wrong signals, and you're going after the wrong things, and your sense of perspective and, your sense of perspective and proportion is out of whack. Things are out of proportion. Little things become overly important. Things like, whatever it is, drugs become over important. Money becomes over important. This becomes over important. Things get out of whack. Your emotions are in muck, and it's because you've escaped from that inner tempering of your emotions, of your passions, of your desires. Then you've got the borderline, the bipolar, these other disorders, the schizophrenia. Yes, a lot of these do need medication. These are organic or inherited diseases that do need medical attention. We're talking about the exasperation or, keeping just exasperating, meaning causing to become worse. And so it's to understand that if you're going to heal through these relationship matters, it's to understand the role that perhaps escapism into this person and other people's needs, which have caused you this hole or caused the hole to go deeper. You're just getting more in the hole, I think is, the situation when you're putting more into them and not enough into yourself. You're digging your own hole deeper. You're getting more into emotional debt. You're not, addressing your needs. You're not addressing the fact that you need to work through some things. You're not addressing the fact that you need to understand root things like self-esteem and what that means, valuation of yourself and what that means, being responsible, fiscally responsible and what that means, being financial for your, being responsible and accountable to yourself for your appetites, for, making your own bed, so to speak, being responsible for the bed that you sleep in. In other words, taking responsibility and accountability for where you are and what makes you happy, and then making a choice to love more people like yourself, particularly beginning with yourself, and not escaping into satisfying only the needs of others, but having yourself in the equation, knowing what depth you have, valuing yourself, understanding things, what self-esteem means and what it feels like, understanding things like tempering the emotions and what that means, tempering the appetite and what that means, valuing your emotions, your feelings and what that means, what, wiring and conditioning and programming and what that means, and then what it means to recode yourself, what it means to resensitize yourself, what it means to recondition yourself to the positive and embracing your independence, your financial independence, your professional independence, your independence in relationships, your boundaries and standards. Developing things like a journal, writing things down, having an appointment book, having your recovery dates where you go out as a whole individual. Peace and harmony, I've never been whole before. This is my 4th decade on earth and I don't know what that means. Congratulations, you've just found the opportunity. You've just opened up the invitation. Welcome. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. You just got the evite. You just got the invitation and it's been waiting for you. It's time to open up your email. It's time to embrace and not be frightened by, not have the feeling of fear undergirding this welcome of your life as your own independence, as your, your aloneness, your independence, your, individuality, your originality. All these are things for you to embrace and not push away and become afraid of. A lot of people, swing the other direction and they go isolation. Isolation to me is nothing but thwarted independence. It's nothing but thwarted embracing of your original and unique talents, your own value. You're just pushing it away. You're saying to yourself, I don't value myself. That's what isolation is. I'm not able to value myself in life and with others simultaneously, so I'm just going to isolate and play myself down. Post-traumatic stress syndrome, the same thing. You're thinking and always viewing the negative. You're hyper aroused by the negative, so you're always, basically trying to create a self-prophecy that look, see, I always step in the puddle. See, look, I always broke a heel. See, look, da 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 da. You're not giving yourself leverage over yourself. Stop allowing other people to have the leverage over you, i.e., research what that means. Understand this is a key concept in healing we discuss here on the Peace and Harmony channel, which is that of leverage. It's having, control over yourself like a lever in a rock. You're only able, how can you move a 2-ton rock with a lever? You can't lift it by picking it up, but you sure can if you have the proper tool, and that is leverage over yourself and getting out of escapism into the covert narcissist relationship and back to embracing, loving, accepting with profound joy and self-forgiveness and unconditional positive self-regard, and embracing your life moving forward, your needs, and then what that looks like, and getting excited and enthusiastic about it. The fact that I am original, I am unique. I have a unique and original message to deliver to the world. That is me, my story. My story is positive. It's not just that of the victim. It's about heralding and a champion of truth and joy and becoming peace and harmonious with life on the next level, which is that embodied by self-esteem and being congruent and connected with your desires and living them and having life deliver the solutions to you with, a smile and the bells and whistles going off and congratulations. That is what the good life is about, and that is what's waiting for you outside of your door. Answer the door. Welcome your new life as an independent, original, valued human being. Get away from the escapism which has caused you to be thwarted from such. Have a great week. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Love you. Peace out.